Hey there, welcome to my channel, The Casual Caregiver. My name's Tiffany. I really appreciate the visit if this is your first time stopping by. I also really appreciate it if this is not your first time stopping by. Thank you for coming back. So my whole goal is to share as much information with you all as possible to help make it easier for you to keep your loved one at home and help you maximize the benefits you can receive from having your loved one at home. Because the information is really hard to find, I'll be honest with you, and making sense of it across the different agencies, from the different sources where your loved one may receive benefits, it is a hassle. But hopefully, subscribing to this channel and what I'll share will make it easier. This video, I'm going to try to focus on some of the things specifically you can do to maximize the financial benefit of having your loved one in your home. First thing I want to say is you cannot claim your loved one as a dependent unless they reach or unless they achieve certain tick marks in the eyes of the IRS. They have to make below a certain amount, and the threshold is incredibly low. I think it was like somewhere below $5,000 over the course of a year, which who only makes that? Very few people. So you have to remember that when you file your taxes, even though you may be covering everything for your loved one, feeding them, bathing them, clothing them, they are not your dependent. They are not your child. And because they are an adult, even with an ailment, you cannot claim them as a dependent. So that being said, my dad is not my dependent. Is he dependent on me? 100% yes. But he is not my dependent in the eyes of the government, right? So you have to make things work in other ways. First thing I want you to do, if you have not done this yet, is file for Medicaid if you have not already. File for your loved one to receive Medicaid. Let me restate that. It's for your loved one to receive Medicaid. They may have Medicare. Medicaid is different. So Medicare, yes, we can all get that over a certain age. What is it, 65? If we've had a certain number of work hours, right? Medicaid works in conjunction with Medicare, but is secondary to it. And Medicaid has certain income restrictions. So your loved one has to make below a certain amount. I'm not going to give an amount because it depends on the state that you live in and the type of Medicaid that they are approved for. There are different programs. So I want you to run over to the Medicaid website and start digging into it for your state. Medicaid is not just for poor people. Medicaid is not just for the people who live on the bad side of the tracks. Medicaid people have a right to the services that are provided by Medicaid and available through Medicaid based on their need. It is a needs-based program. Do some people abuse it? Absolutely. But your loved one may be eligible for certain benefits that you are missing out on, like having someone come into the home and bathe them daily, or helping feed them, helping come tidy up your house, or I don't know if you saw one of my last videos, but free meals. And these meals, I've tasted all of them. I will not give my dad something that I have not tasted. That is something we don't have to pay for. We don't pay for shipping. We don't pay for the meals. Look into it. There are several different community-based programs, in particular for our elderly loved ones, that are provided through Medicaid. So whatever misconceptions you have about Medicaid, I want you to get it out of your head, and I want you to go take a look at the website and start looking into the benefits they may be eligible for, because you might be missing out on some things, okay? So in addition to doing that, I want you to think about switching 2 to 3 bills. Actually, I'm going to say 2 because I only did 2. 2 bills into your loved one's name. And there's a reason why. The first bill is going to be your internet, okay? So the reason why I'm saying the internet is because there are programs where you can get your internet for $35. Highest speed available for $35. I take advantage of that because my dad is a resident in this home. His aides come in, his sitters come in, and they need to watch TV. I got rid of cable because cable was insanely expensive. So everything is tied to the internet, and it is only $35 a month. That is what we pay for our very high speed internet. Okay. So that helps support my dad. That is his internet, right? So The reason why we're eligible for these programs is because he is on Medicaid. And there is a whole list of services that are available to people if they are on Medicaid or similar programs. Like if you receive food stamps, and there's a whole list of other programs that you can be eligible for if through that same program if you are on Medicaid. I'm actually going to make a list to myself to make sure I go back and put all the links to the stuff. Put the links to the stuff I'm telling you about so that I don't forget. So internet, Medicaid, I'll put the link to the Georgia Medicaid Services, Department of Public Health. So those of you who are in Georgia can start to look into that. The next bill I want you to think about putting in your loved one's name is going to be either the gas bill or the power bill. The reason for that is discounted services. So yes, you live there. You are contributing to the house overall because it's your home or your apartment or wherever you are. But certain things you want to put in your loved one's name, and that's one of those. So we're going to say power or gas. Just pick one. I think I went with the power bill because it made more financial sense and the discount. All right. I'm going to throw another one out there for some of you for who this would make sense for. Your cell phone bill. Cell phone or telephone if you have a landline. Yes, some people still have them. My mother does. Your cell phone bill. And again, is for the discount. They get very, very good rates. Consumer Cellular is one of the phone providers or cell providers. I'm writing on my little dry erase board. I got one of these. I wish it was on the wall and I could show it to you, but your Consumer Cellular or your cell phone or phone service, get it in your loved one's name or get them their own line because, again, the money, the cost savings, it makes sense. And then I'm going to come back with an overall reason why at the end you need to do these things as well. Let me put a reminder to myself of what I'm going to say. Medicaid costs. All right. So those are the main things you want to make sure you put in your loved one's names for various reasons. The other thing you need to do, which I actually should have started off with this first after Medicaid, is you need to prepare a lease, a rental lease or rental agreement, whatever you typically refer to it as, for your loved one to reside with you. You might say, well, why would they have a lease? It's my dad, like it's my mom. They are independent of you. Yes, they are your mother or your father or your aunt or whoever it is. But guess what? When you are going to be a caregiver, all that goes out the window. It's not about it being my loved one. This is now business in the eyes of the government. This is now business because guess what? You have to help report their taxes. You have to calculate their expenses, and their expenses impact the benefits they received. Get a lease. I can't tell you specifically how much the lease should be for, but get a lease. And if it's you and like how it's just me and my dad, that lease needs to be for at least half the cost of your mortgage. At least half the cost of your mortgage. The reason for that is all of these bills are tallied up and used to calculate the cost of your benefits when it comes to food stamps, which your loved one would be eligible for if they are eligible for Medicaid. That lease amount needs to make financial sense so that they can see this person has expenses. Otherwise, in the eyes of the government, they don't have any expenses, so you don't need anything, right? So there is a lease. My dad has a lease. I'm the property owner. It is a tenant property owner relationship. He has a lease. Said lease is for a year. And I'm going to see how much information I can come across to see if I can give you some guidance on how much this lease needs to be at some point. But I can't give you a number right now because every state is different. And I don't want to throw too much information and then it be wrong for your state. And then you say, Tiffany, this did not help me at all. So far, what do we have? We have, make sure you sign up for Medicaid. Sorry for that glare. They need to sign up for Medicaid. You need to put your internet bill in your loved one's name. Put the power or gas bill in your loved one's name. Your cell phone bill or your loved one's cell phone needs to be in their name. Consumer Cellular is one of the companies. You can do it through like AT&T. All the major providers will give you an option. When you go to Consumer Cellular, they even have commercials. They keep your phone number and all of that. The discounts, guys, the discounts. All right. You need to have a lease. You can pull up a lease template online. You fill in everything you need to fill in. If you're going to say trash pickup, disposal, all of that is included, then put that in there. Put if they have their own bathroom. You can even put the square footage if you want to, if you know how much their living space is. But you have to really start thinking about this differently. Your loved one is still your loved one, but it is now a business relationship, and it is a landlord-tenant relationship in the eyes of the government. And you need to treat it as such so that you can maximize your benefits. And again, I said that because EBT, SNAP benefits, food stamps, whatever it's referred to as in your state, what they do to come up with the amount of money your loved one is eligible for is they take a list of your expenses. By your expenses, I mean your loved ones, and they run it through some kind of formula, which no one can ever tell me what the formula is. And then they say, okay, this person's expenses equate to, let's say, $2,000. Based on this amount, they should be eligible for $200, $250, whatever amount in food stamps. Don't ever feel guilty for getting the benefits that your loved one deserves. For the longest, my dad got $16 a month in food stamps. So guess where the rest of his food came from? My earnings. It's my dad. It's okay. My family helped. We make it work. But after speaking with someone who shared some information with me, they were like, this doesn't make any sense. He should be eligible for more. Guess what I learned? I learned I was doing this thing all wrong. I was not calculating, hey, he lives here. He is responsible for some of the light bill. He's responsible for some of the gas. He's responsible for some of the water, whichever one you pick. Although I do not put the water in his name. The water bills in Georgia are always funky and stupid, and I'm not going to change that one. You know, he pays to live here. And also with his Medicaid, there is a cost share, what they call a cost share, that he's responsible for the cost of his services whenever an agency or something comes in the home. I did not realize that I was supposed to be taking out a certain amount of his money and paying myself, essentially. I used to pay the agency, but since I am now a paid caregiver, I am supposed to be taking that money out, paying myself. Didn't realize that. So that was not being calculated properly when it came to his benefits and his eligibility for things. That I'm going to do a whole nother video on regarding how to be a paid caregiver. I can only do it for the state of Georgia because that's the only one I can speak to. States like New York, they make it a lot easier, or it's more available to people, and they put the information out there. Georgia, oh, your girl had to do some digging, guys. So to stay on topic, there should be a lease. And that lease should be a significant enough portion of the, or the rent should be, of the household costs or the mortgage or the rent, because your loved one is an individual and it just needs to make sense, okay? So, couple things that I dropped here in this video. I know it's a lot of information, and this is only the iceberg of, or the tip of the iceberg of sort of what you need to be looking into, but I want to at least put the information out there for people. I'm going to try to do better to post a little bit more regularly. There's just been so much going on. I had to do his SNAP benefits renewal. I know I mentioned he used to get $16 a month, and then it went up to like $23 or $26 a month, and that's what we've been getting for all these years. That has all changed recently because I started finally doing things the way I needed to do it. So now we get way more than that. You know, after speaking to some people who work for the state and airing out grievances, essentially, I have now learned how to make the system work the way it is supposed to work. And this is no shade to anyone in any situation, But what I shared with the state agency was, I don't understand how young people who are able to work, some who just choose not to work because the system has made it easy for them not to, and these people are getting hundreds of dollars every month in food stamps. Again, I am talking about the able-bodied young people, said how much they have earned in food stamps. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. How do you get that? And my poor dad, who can't do anything for himself, is getting $16, $23, $26 a month. It's a hole in the system, you guys, and you have to fill the hole yourself because no one's going to help you. Well, I will. I will help you. So you just have to make sure you maximize the benefits available to your loved one, because the nurse managers, the case managers, they are not going to even tell you about these things. Our case manager, who actually just quit this last Friday, or her last day with the agency was this last Friday, she didn't even tell me how to do any of this stuff. She didn't even know how to do the stuff. Like, even when it comes to something as simple as what is considered respite care, getting your loved one to stay in a facility for a few days, 5 days, something like that, to stay in a facility for 5 days, paid for, so that you can rest and take care of yourself. She had no idea how to do it. She said she'd never done it. She'd never seen anyone use the benefit. That's not going to make me stop. You know, you can't get tired and exhausted. All of this is tiring and exhausting. But if you just lay there and let them tell you no, or let someone give you the response of, oh, I'm not sure, or let people not return your phone calls, like has happened to me. It took me weeks to get to where I am now, of following up with people, Googling their names, looking them up on LinkedIn so I can get their last name, and then figuring out what their email address was so that I can harass them at work, essentially. Listen, it worked. I have figured out so much, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to compile the information I've learned for people, but it's just so much. Like, you know, the best I can do right now is create this page and get on here and ramble and tell you what I've come across. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments, or if there's a video topic you want me to touch on, let me know in the comments, because I want to share this information. I want to give it to people so that you can get the benefits you deserve and that your loved one deserves, so that you can keep them at home. That's the whole point. I want you to keep your loved one at home as long as you can. Of course, when you make the decision to not keep your loved one at home, then that is completely up to you, because it's hard. Being a caregiver is hard. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It is hard, and they don't make it easy. So that's what I can say. So this video, I might have wandered around the world while talking. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you found something useful in it. The links that I can think of and that I mentioned, I will put in the description bar. And if you have any questions, or if there are topics you want me to touch on, please drop a comment below, because I do want to help, right? I really do want to help. And I'm going to try to come up with like a list of topics, and then, I don't know, figure out a way to share it with you all so you can see the list of upcoming topics, maybe previous topics, and we go from there. Because I want to make this a community for us caregivers to share information with each other and figure it out. All right. So hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope things go smoother for you if you're able to implement any of these things. Okay. Thanks so much for supporting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.